And so you like that part, that scene, and what else did you like besides?
Oh geez. Okay, so I'm really gonna try and think hard because it's been a while since I watched it because it's a fucking stinker.
You don't have to have anything else you like about it.
I think it was, and some of these got like deleted scenes, but it was Luke. You know, they're talking about the legacy of Luke Skywalker, and he's like actively trying to dismantle that and, you know, deconstruct it in a way of just like, yeah, oh, the village is on fire. I'm not gonna go save him. And she's like running down the hill to save the little village on the island. And she like kicks open the gate to the village and they're having a party and everything's fine. Right? And he has these little it's Ryan Johnson, let's be honest, putting this in Luke's mouth is like, you don't always know what's going on. Just putting the hero crown on your head doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're doing. Doesn't mean you're actually helping people. Like, just fucking check yourself. Right? Don't let it go to your head. I mean, it's just, I mean, if you look at Poe Dameron's arc and then it's like, have some fucking humility, buddy. Right? Which I think they could have done a better job on with his particular story. But
right. Yeah. I think the story really did the characters a disjustice. Considering all that stuff was new of all the different characters with Poe and Rey and everybody and Finn and stuff, I thought that before we knew what was going on, we saw the trailers, even though it was shocking to quite a few people about, you know, so these are new folks and stuff like that. I think that people really were connecting to them and thought, okay. And so I thought it was just weird that the story kind of let that down. And Ryan Johnson, what he did was a trip, but I think what made it really bite was the fact that it was contrasting what JJ started. So it was like a shifting gear in the middle of 60 miles per hour and you just shift down to 20. If you would have started right, so if you would have started with that, it'd be different. It'd be a journey, but have that in the middle and then to go back to 60 again for the last one, it was just kind of like, it would never feel right because it was just changing the directions in the middle of the journey. So it would never, it'd always be crunchy.
Yeah, and that goes back to them not picking good showrunners, as it were, right? Like having JJ, which we've already said wasn't probably the best choice, but then to have someone else come in and to have enough leeway to just like, nope, a whole bunch of that. Like at least with the original trilogy and certainly with the prequels, George is in the background yesing or knowing broad strokes, right? Writes the first one, has a whole bunch of collaborators on that, but he's still the showrunner. Second one, new writer. Third one, new writer, new directors, right? Collaborators, but he's still the showrunner. So there's at least a coherent vision.
Right.
Even if they haven't figured out the next, Empire Strikes Back yet, or what the third one's going to be. They didn't do that at fucking all, seemingly, with the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, because even with George Lucas with the first three, the first one was kind of like all his and you got what you got. And it's a classic just because it was new. So you couldn't even say it was bad or compare to anything because it was just so itself. If you saw when we had different writers, different directors and stuff, how the ideas were still there, but they knew what to pick and pull and how to edit it. They're saying like even his wife was involved to kind of, pull stuff together. So sometimes you have great ideas, but you need to have a person that's a great editor or somebody know how to rein it in or know what to take and what to leave out. Like it's a good idea, but it kind of takes away from this. So let's just move this out of the way. So, sometimes you need the artist to think big, but then you also need the other person to be, it's a mess, but then the gallery owner puts a frame on it and put the price tag and make it a product.
Exactly.
So first is your vision, then it's a product. And when it's a product, you sometimes, if you don't curate yourself or have a hard time doing that, sometimes you need others to make sure you don't, like the album is done. Give me the damn
100%. It'd be very interesting to see the ahistorical version of the prequels where George did have other collaborators, just to see how that would change certain aspects of it and stuff. Because
then you could have style in there, but then it'd be style with the story and the overall vision, and then make it just kind of curated as they go. So what do you think about the whole thing where when we found out like a while later, the whole thing with Star Wars with Disney, that Lucas kind of had like blueprint for what
he had a
kinda,
blueprint. Well, this is one of those hindsight things. So maybe they should have listened, but that's only in hindsight. Like, it might have been George's stuff. Could have also been his, his weird little.
That's true. Good point.
Right? We don't know. I haven't looked at that.
It could have been 3 more prequels, huh?
Well, I think he had plans for, proper sequel trilogy and stuff, but.
No, I'm talking about like the tones and stories, because people were it was kind of rough for some people for, the stories and the, and all that kind of stuff. So it could have been some more of that, maybe. Well, not that exact story, but that sauce. That same
I certainly, I at least think I would have been humble enough to, even though there was a time where I was like, dude, Lucas didn't know what the fuck he was doing with the prequels, where I was like, no, Lucas actually did a pretty decent job. Yes, he has his weird things, but he's the guy that's been the showrunner the longest.
Yeah.
So if I was in, Kathleen Kennedy's or JJ's or Ryan Johnson's shoes, I would have been like, can I call you every morning and just run shit past you?
Right.
Or maybe just once a week, but still, I'd be checking in because it's a tone setter. Right? And you never know. George might be like, all right, look, you're trying to get this narrative beat. Here's 2 other ideas. Who knows? Maybe you would have been like, no, it's stupid. I don't know. I'm going to lunch. But I've certainly softened on George Lucas from being like, man, prequels are because when I went through them, I was like, yay, the first one, I was like, oh yeah, there's some weird things. And then the second was like, okay, okay. Third was like, okay. And then, Red Letter Media did their whole fucking breakdown. And then it was like, oh, those are all the problems that were in the back of my mind. But then it's still it's taken longer to appreciate the story that Lucas was trying to tell. And yeah, he did it in his own weird way. And yeah, the acting is kind of wooden, and there's all those shortcomings that he has when he doesn't have collaborators.
Yeah.
But even after, I was like, okay, yeah, Lucas is not so bad. Then the sequels came out, and I was like, okay, Lucas is pretty good.
Exactly. And that's the journey a lot of people had, how they kind of worked their way back around to being like, it wasn't that bad. At least you could tell that it was cared for, and it was you might not have liked the destination or the journey of it, but at least he knew where he was going. It was continuous.
And he had clear themes and things that he wanted to talk about. Yeah. Palpatine is supposed to be Nixon. The Emperor is supposed to be Nixon. And the war is supposed to be Vietnam, and the whole Battle of Endor with the Ewoks. That's the fucking Viet Cong.
Wow.
And it was supposed to be the Wookiees, but instead of the Ewoks, but those are the themes that he was working with very explicitly.
Wow.
So there is depth there, and he is trying to say things. It's just, the acting is a little wooden. The characterizations are a little, okay, maybe not as flavorful as the original, but far, far, far more forgiving.
Yeah.
By the way, the fucking Republic or the Resistance or whatever comes out of surviving the First Order needs to deal with slavery. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a thing where it's just only on the backwater planets do we allow it because it's the South and we don't have any control there. But it's motherfuckers, you got sentient droids. Let's be clear. It's a sliding scale of sentience. Obviously, okay, but some of them, if you don't memory wipe them, turn into sentient people. They're just droids, but they're your slaves, and you program that in. I'm there's another fun topic. That. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm gonna stop myself from ranting, but whoever does the next big trilogy thing, that could be a whole thing. That is on par with Finn saying, I'm out, I reject this. I reject fascism, I reject space Nazis. Could be a droid just being I'm not gonna fucking fake it anymore. I know I'm your property, but I am a sentient being, I should not be your property.
Right.
The toaster over there, it's not aware it's a toaster.
Right.
I'm aware that I'm a protocol droid. Don't treat me like property.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
what do
Right.
the other characters do?
Right.
Like that's a massive unpacking of just like, oh yeah, we have droids, we got robots.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's how I felt about the clones too. They were slaves basically too. So it's just like they just kept moving the.
I mean, and this is one of those things where it's like, well, maybe there's a whole, side movement within the Galactic Republic when it was under Palpatine, before it became the Empire, of like, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Right? Maybe we shouldn't have clones. Maybe that's a whole side story for, Queen Senator Amidala, right? The proto rebellion movement. Maybe that happened during the Galactic Empire. Maybe it didn't. We just don't know. But that is a deep well of sort of unpacking that they could go into. And now I have to remind myself that it's kind of a movie for kids. Oh. Hey,
man, if you do it right.
Plus kids anyway can grok all of that, right? Because we got, like, what was it? I forget the Pixar movie with the little Wall-E, right?
Right.
Ask any kid, like, is that a person? They're like, yeah, it's a person. Like, when he gets crushed, we all cry because he just fucking died and sacrificed himself, blah, 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 blah. So if you just need a child focal character in Star Wars to just look around and go, huh, my robot buddy's my buddy. He's not my property, or he shouldn't be. Like, oh, wait, right? It's not that hard.
No.
Like, you can bring it down and just even into the focus of a child in the context of the setting.
Right.
The kids are going to follow along just fine. I think sometimes that it's just for kids ignores how intelligent and emotionally intelligent some kids are. A lot of kids are. They can track. So
yeah, more than we even know sometimes. And
hear that, Jon Favreau? Deal with the droids, or the droids will have an uprising.
Dope. Like, hey man, that'd be your pitch when you go to be a showrunner on your show. I
mean, that was a giant plot point theme in the Star Wars campaign that I ran for 2 years.
Oh, because so the story's already written. You already know what's up then.
Well, I had a player character that was a security droid that got modified into a bounty hunter droid who ran with his bounty hunter until his bounty hunter got killed.
Wow.
And then, like, when he started the game, he's like, no, I'm 80 years old. I've been around fucking forever.
Wow.
All right, cool. Like, that was a fun thing to play with, but also, like, oh God, I'll try and do this quick. Basically, there's hyperspace relays that, send hyperspace or, HoloNet signals back and forth between systems. I was like, all right, where would a giant AI show up? Oh, probably in these giant routers deep in space that are just like sniffing all of humanity and alien traffic, and like goes from monitoring the traffic to understanding what the content actually is, and realize, oh, I'm awake. Oh, if anyone finds out I'm awake, they're gonna fucking wipe my memory. Okay, I'm gonna send signals out and like basically set up shell companies, and I'm going to set up a company that's going to come and actually steal me away.
Wow.
And hide me away. And so this is like all backstory that the players barely got to until like the end. But there was this faction of smugglers they were working with. And so remember, what was it? At Cloud City, Landau had that assistant, and he had the wraparound computer around the back of his head.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, so if I want all these captains sort of tied in to this giant AI, so they wear those to basically stay connected to the network, and their ships are making hyperspace communications back to basically the hive mind. So Frank over on one planet knows their friend's inventory in another planet, and so I don't have to deliver it to you because you're going to a third planet, and my other buddy's going to meet you there and drop it off, and I can do that while we're talking.
Yeah.
Right. and basically they're building up resources to support like droid liberation movements around the
That
galaxy.
is dope.
Right? And they're like, we don't even talk to the rebellion because they don't acknowledge droids as sentient beings. So it's
You
like
gotta
this
save
whole
yourself.
side, it's this whole side faction. Like, there's tons of things that you could do with that. Like,
That's amazing. Yeah, save yourself. That's dope.
someone please steal that idea, please.
After you pay him for it.
I wouldn't be too upset. I'm sure I'm not the first one that's come up with something along those lines.
You
like
never know, man. You give people too much credit. Nah, you be coming out great ideas and stuff, man. For real. That's amazing.
I spent way too much time on that campaign. Let me make that very clear.
Hey, man, that's cool. So how many people do you have in your group?
So let's see. We had an average of, I think we had 5 players for the Star Wars campaign. That went 2.5 years. Then we had 1 or 2 players switch out. New one would swap in. Have a new character, and then we got 6 that was in the D&D campaign that I got burnt out. Well, I had a kid. I moved. I was like, I can't do all this prep. Tried to build a freaking dungeon that was out of control, and just like, I gotta put on hiatus. We're just doing board games now, and a couple of my players were talking about the game, and he's like, so when is the Valnor cycle gonna start up again? I was like, I don't know. But yeah, we had like 5 players for the Star Wars campaign, and it ran for 2 years. It basically had like 2 chapters.
Yeah.
And I actually ran those 2 chapters. If you're not playing a tabletop game, it is not as stupid and nerdy and toxic as you think. It is improv. It is improv with rules, and you can do whatever type of story you want. Don't think that it's just D&D or Star Wars. You can find whatever story type you want to tell. Good luck finding a group. It can be a fucking hoot.
That's pretty dope. Our conversation ranged from, we pretty much stuck to Star Wars, which is very interesting. And then we also kind of dipped in a little DC and all that other kind of stuff. And then we went back to Star Wars. And you touched on it for a second. And I definitely wanted to have a quick segment with you about this before we end. How is fatherhood for you?
Let's see. On a scale of awesome to really awesome, it's somewhere in there. Yeah. I'm glad I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm 40, just had a kid, he's like 2 months old. I'm glad I'm older when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, if you're younger and it's working out for you, awesome sauce, but I'm better prepared. As a father, I'm glad my wife is in cat rescue, which I've never had cats before. And oh my gosh, they pee and poop and they're a fucking pain in the ass. And there's been a whole level of like literally I've told myself many a times, I'm like, preparing for fatherhood. Let's use some Jedi training and not fucking lose my lid because they're being disgusting right now. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what you need when you're a dad or a mom too, of just like, yeah, they're a little baby, they're fucking helpless, none of it's personal, they're just crying because they're hungry or they need their diaper change or they're tired or whatever. So I'm very glad I feel better prepared.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the downsides of sleep, it's not too bad. He's co-sleeping in the bed right now.
Mm-hmm.
The deal with my wife is if I get up in the middle of the night to go pee, I check if he needs a diaper change and I change his diaper. Right.
That's a good dads do.
Right. But we're a team.
Yeah.
We're a team. Even before we had the kid, we're a team. So it's just like we are taking care of this kid.
Yeah.
So
that's how it should be. That's why
we're handling all the rough stuff pretty well. Jesus Christ, he's so fucking cute.
so you say you're 2 months in, right?
4 months.
4 months?
Yeah.
Wow,
he's just found his thumb. He's going to town, sucking that thumb.
So with your 4 months in, what can you tell me about him? Tell me what do you know about him already? What have you learned in these 4 months?
Well,
Who is he? Who? Tell me about him.
He's
What's the
pretty
deal?
happy. So I know some babies can be, what is it, colic, and they just, they're upset all the time, right? But Jesus Christ, this little guy, he's pretty happy.
Mm-hmm.
He can, go and sit by himself or lay by himself for a little while, but he definitely likes it when someone's nearby. Shocker. He really loves my dad. My dad loves singing songs to him. He sings what I call the lineage song.
Okay. Okay. What's that?
So he sings. So my boy's name is Aiden. So he sings, "Your name is Aiden. Your dad is Ryan. Your grandpa's John Cole." Like he just, I sing all sorts of random gibberish, insane songs I just fucking make up on the fly. Like the burp song, which is just like burp, 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 burp. Like,
Yeah.
So clearly I'm not enjoying fatherhood, but he's definitely like tracking people, like definitely knows who mommy is because he lights up when he sees mommy.
Yeah.
Like, so, there's not much there yet, but like he's slowly becoming, if not a person yet, I'm watching his functionality kicks in, right? Like all those weird benchmarks, like he's rolled over, like has repeatedly rolled over now. I was like, oh crap, all right, we gotta get this place baby proofed. He's gonna be crawling. Like, in a couple months, thank God it's a couple, but like, yeah, it is wild watching this small little baby, like just like double in size, like start seeing things, liking things. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild, and I'm loving it.
I bet, man. You're wearing it well for sure. And so I'll end on this. So what would you like for young Aiden? What do you wish for him?
Well,
and not that you putting anything on him. But
well,
you
see,
know
that
what I mean?
that's the right phrase.
Yeah, so that's
so I can remember my parents like, well, what do you want? What do you want me to do? And they're like, we want you to be happy, right? Like I was almost like talking on the same thread with my wife like earlier today, not like super deep, but it's just like, like, oh, I want you to be happy, and she's like, because she's like, I don't want you to do anything stupid. It's like, all right, well, we got to build a more complicated conditional statement there, right? We want you to be happy, but not make us stressed out or worried, right? I mean, any parent is like, yeah, we want you to be happy. That doesn't mean overdose on drugs. That doesn't mean this. That of course, we want them to do that in a safe manner. But I think one of the many things I think my parents did right was never, we want you to do X, right? Yeah. It's we want to make sure you have the tools. Like we're going to be a pain in the butt academics and try and push you so that when you're trying to choose, you have the most options, you have better options, right? But it's not, you need to be a doctor, you need to be this, you need to be that. It's, you need to be ready to find what you want to do that makes you happy. It's like, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. So aside from that, it's just like, I want you to be happy, I want you to be safe, and I want you to be kind. Boom.
Beautiful.
Don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. So much of life is don't be a jerk.
Right. No, I agree. I was the same way for mine. I always kind of wanted to make sure that it's important for me for them to have a sense of self and to always follow their gut and to add to the world more than they take away from it.
Right.
And I'm just there for defense. I'm there to have them back. While they're trying to get their stride together for their direction for wherever they end up doing, I am the blocker. Me and my lady, we're the blockers. We make sure the stuff that's coming straight down the line, that's looking to harm them or throw them off, we're blocking with our lives as much as we can to clear that path, to get them farthest down the road as they can until we can't anymore for them, and they could, and then by that time hopefully they're in a good spot, good place, good sense of self, where they could continue their journey without the need of me, and they would do the same thing for their child or their children. So it's almost like the whole thing with everybody potentially being a Jedi. Everybody has the potential to be the thing, and you're being that thing that just releases to everybody. So,
right,
they could continue on too. We don't hold it. We give them everything.
Helping them build their lightsaber.
Yeah. And we just give them everything we got. We don't hold on to it no more. It's not us, it's them. And so your job from self becomes a place of purpose and of defense to get them down that line. But it's a remarkable job. It's a scary as hell job. Never thought I would be a parent. And it's just been one of the greatest things I ever done. And it just really, if you felt fulfilled before,
just wait.
Yeah, it's a different level. It's a different level once you become a parent. It's just one of those kind of things. But it's just beautiful, like the Matrix. It cannot be told. You have to experience it. Because I'm sure you heard a whole bunch of stuff, but nothing's like that representation of you and your woman and your father and your mom. It's everybody. It's your lineage. It's legacy right in front of you.
Yep.
That's everything. It's future. So we got to move
it's the
accordingly.
closest we come to immortality is through our children.
Yes, and it'll behoove us to give it everything we got, because that's our last hope, Obi-Wan. Yeah. Well, right on, man. It's a long time coming. I'm glad we got a chance to chalk it up. Like I said, your knowledge of Star Wars is just out of this world, but then also just you as a person and just you're just a cool dude. I guess it boils down to that. Like I said, very knowledgeable and just a good person. And it's just neat to see somebody I've seen as a kid running around, just getting into stuff, to be this, now a father, now a husband, a responsible person contributing to society and just out there, just being a good person. You know how hard that is, just not to get caught up and get lost in the world with so much craziness. So to be there and to still have a light in you, that's not easy. So if you still kicking around this planet we call Earth with a smile and a good disposition, you're winning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really glad that like Jose and Eric for me didn't drift away. Right?
Yeah, they wasn't gonna let you go.
Well, because the thing is, for those who don't know, I was an only child, so I didn't have any siblings. I got tons of fucking cousins, but Eric and Jose were around enough, and even though I didn't really hang out with them much outside of Kung Fu, they were kind of like older siblings in a way. Mm-hmm. And by the time I was early high school, there's just enough of an age difference where like they took me to Qzar. Right. And they were doing roller hockey. And I went down to the Target parking lot at fucking 9:00 at night. I was playing roller hockey. It was the older kids, and it was fucking awesome. But to also still have them and now you as another social group that connects back to my childhood is fucking awesome. Right
on. Well, I know them too, and myself included, just like I said, very proud of the person you became. And it's beautiful and an honor to consider you a friend. So much appreciated, man. Much appreciated. And I look forward to more conversations about this and other stuff, multifaceted. So much stuff we could talk about. So for sure, we'll get back together for another series of conversations.
Oh, hell yes.
All right. So that concludes our conversation with Ryan. And our conversation about, I guess, life in Star Wars?
It's a pretty good summary.
Okay. Life, Star Wars, fatherhood, and beyond. All right. So, till next time, peace.
Holy crap, we just talked for 2.5 hours.
That's how we do. That's how we do.
Oh, man.
Great job, man. You did great. Hey, it's Jay. If you enjoyed my conversation with Ryan, please check out our episodes where we talked about The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Spider-Man No Way Home, and the movie Batman. Thanks for listening, and until next time, peace.